friends, it's Olga, and today I'm bringing you into my kitchen so I can share this delicious cookie recipe, Pecan Tassies. They're so good. Can you tell my mouth is watering talking about them? We make these every holiday season. They're super cute, they're absolutely delicious. They're like mini pecan pies. The cookie itself is so tender and flaky, it just melts in your mouth. The filling is a rich, creamy, and gooey brown sugar filling, and it complements the crunchy pecans perfectly. I'm gonna start out by making the cookie dough in my mixer because the dough needs to be made in advance so that it can chill before you can start making the cookies. And actually this is awesome because around the holidays there's so much to do. We have so much going on, and this really helps if you can make the dough ahead of time. It's so easy to make, you'll see what I mean. And then you can just store it in your refrigerator or your freezer, and then the next time you want to make these cookies, they're ready to go. You only need 3 ingredients for the dough: some butter, cream cheese, and flour. The butter and the cream cheese need to be at room temperature so they're nice and soft and can be mixed in very well. So I'm just going to put it in here. I got these out a few hours ago, so they're nice and soft. I'm gonna mix the butter and the cream cheese first until they're evenly combined, and then add the flour. The dough is done. I told you it was easy. I'm gonna take this dough, divide it into 4 equal portions, and wrap them in sheets of parchment paper. I have 4 sheets of parchment paper here. I'm gonna roll each portion into a cylinder, wrap it up, and put it in my refrigerator to chill. You can keep your dough in the refrigerator up to several days in advance. It'll be just fine. Or you can freeze it. If you're gonna keep it in your freezer, I would also recommend wrapping the cylinders of dough in foil in addition to the parchment paper. That way you have extra layers of protection. There's no chance of freezer burn getting in or your cookies tasting weird later. Don't worry about making the cylinders too perfect. We're gonna be cutting them up later anyway and shaping them, so it doesn't matter. The ingredients for the filling are also very simple. We just need some room temperature eggs, melted butter, brown sugar, and pecans. And I put my pecans in the food processor so they're nice and fine. You can chop up the nuts much coarser than I did or keep them fine like this. And also you can use any other kind of nuts in this recipe instead of the pecans. But of course these are Pecan Tassies, so we're sticking with them. Whisk all the ingredients together until they're combined and the sugar is melted. I prefer to mix the filling by hand, although I have done it with a mixer before, and that works fine. But the problem with that sometimes can be that you can incorporate too much air into the filling, and then you're gonna get a really crackly top that isn't gonna look pretty after it's done baking. Once I mixed all the ingredients together, I like to just set it aside for a few minutes, let it hang out at room temperature, then come back and whisk it again for about 30 seconds, let it stand for 5 more minutes, and then whisk it again. This way the sugar dissolves much more naturally, and you're not gonna get crystallized pieces of sugar in your Pecan Tassies unless your sugar is not the best quality, which can sometimes happen, unfortunately. You need these mini cupcake or muffin pans for the Pecan Tassies, and there's gonna be 48 total. And I just put a little bit of oil in each and rub it in with a paper towel so that you don't have too much oil. Otherwise the dough is just going to slip around and it's gonna be really hard to work with. So just enough to grease them so that they'll come out easily. I've got everything prepped and ready to go. The filling, the nuts, the dough is nice and cold, and my cupcake pans are ready. I unroll each of the portions of dough and cut it into 12 equal pieces. So we have 48 pecan tassies total. Don't worry if the pieces of dough are not exactly the same. We can fix that when we're gonna be putting them into the muffin pans. I like to work with one portion of dough at a time. That way it stays nice and cold and easy to work with. Let the dough soften just slightly so it's easier to work with. I like to flatten out the dough a little bit first before putting it into the muffin pan, and then just use your fingers to work it in evenly. Place some of the nuts into the bottom of each of the pecan tassies. I like to place the filling into a large gallon Ziploc bag, cut off one corner, and that way it's so much easier to portion it out among all of the pecan tassies. When I'm done filling all the cookies, I like to go back in with a toothpick and pop all of the little air bubbles. Good job. So as soon as you see a bubble, you just pop it. Perfect. Good job, honey. I have the oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm gonna bake the cookies for about 25 to 28 minutes. The first batch of pecan tassies are all done. I cooled them. They're still a bit warm, but obviously I can touch them. And look, they just pop right out. Super easy. You guys wanna come try it? Okay, I'll get one for each of you. Okay, now let's give it a try. Are they still warm? Are they yummy? I want one too.
Yummy, yummy.
They are so delicious. The dough is nice and crispy and flaky, and then the center filled with those crunchy pecans, the sweet melted brown sugar filling. Oh, it's so good. You like it? I think they approve. I love baking lots of different cookies every year around the holidays to make with my kids, to share with friends and neighbors, and I've got so many other recipes that you can try. So go to oldestflavorfactory.com to get the recipe for these pecan tassies, and you'll find lots of other choices there too.